What's up, y'all? Welcome into Believe in Commanders. This is the original 1-3 Anthony Armstrong back with another episode. And today I'm going to be joined with Matt Sims of the Sims Complete quarterback. If you remember the last name Sims, his dad, Phil Sims, former Giant great quarterback, and he actually said that RFK Stadium was the best place to play, the best experience, most raucous fans. So give yourself a pat on the back if you got to cheer on Washington, cheer on the Redskins back in those days against those Giants at RFK Stadium. And it's definitely something that I wish I would have had the opportunity to experience. Like if they could just make a stadium downtown, and even if it's half the capacity, but they say we're only going to play, one or two games or division games down there. I think that'd be something. That would be super exciting to just have one spot where everybody can just dive into, and it just really bring the crowd to the game and make that crowd be a factor when it comes to having home field advantage. But y'all got me off track. Welcome into Believe in Commanders. It's a part of the Believe Network. You can like, comment, subscribe, share this podcast with all your friends. Make sure that they get on there. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that notification bell for your boy. We're getting past the third preseason game, and cut days are coming up. Actually, today on the 27th of August, cut days are happening. And I saw a statistic, and I knew it was a lot of people, but to hear it and see the actual number, it's 948 guys are going to be either cut or released, waived, or placed on some sort of a reserve list at 4 p.m. Eastern today. So there's going to be a lot of people that are having their dreams crushed. They're not going to have the opportunity to play football. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. You never know. So it's a tough day for those players, man. Keep y'all's heads up. But I want to let you know this too. The show is brought to you by BetOnline. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. You got college football, you got NFL. Everything is right here. We're about to have the most exciting Saturdays and Sundays, the occasional Thursdays. All of this football is going on, and you can bet on it at BetOnline. They got live odds and spreads while the games are being played, and you can also jump in on the $300,000 winner-take-all Survivor pool for this upcoming season. I'm going to get in on that because I think I'm feeling good. I just had a couple of really big real estate transactions close, and that is a weight lifted off my shoulder. Now I'm going to go win this $300,000 pool. But when the game is over, head on to the casino. They got slots, they got poker, they got all those games. They got a race book. You can bet on like esports as well over there on betonline.ag. Use the code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. Now let's get to talking with Matt Sims. All right, here we go. Joined by Matt Sims of Sims Complete on the Believe Network. He joined us. I was already telling him in the intro. I was like, if you recognize the last name, then you may be like, oh, okay, I think I know that guy or know somebody that knows that guy.
You know the other two guys. You don't know me, but you know the other two guys, and that's all good, man. But I'm here. You got to deal with it now.
That's true. And I'll say this. I'll put it out here now. Man, I had the biggest grudge against Chris because I was a Texas fan. I'm growing up Texas, and it was like, I think it was a game against Colorado. That Big 12 championship game had me so frustrated. It was a back and forth matchup. I was like, come on, Chris, I need some plays, man.
I know,
I was just a young kid, but tough career, great career. Thanks for joining. If you haven't listened to their podcast, they do talk about all quarterbacks. They talk about Jayden Daniels a lot, and that's why he's here, talking about new QB1 in Washington. Coming out of the preseason, what did you see so far? What do you like about Jayden? I know that your dad, Phil, said that the guy's Mr. Cool. He's so calm and collected, probably the most calm and relaxed quarterback in the NFL right now. What have you seen from him, just so for my listeners to catch from Jayden Daniels? What do you think he's going to bring to this team rolling into week one?
Yeah, I think, just the articles that you read, throughout camp, what we saw leading up to it, obviously with his Heisman, this performance that he put on the field last year, how he presented himself throughout that process, throughout that combine process, all of these things. It just seems like the dude is just really comfortable, and he just doesn't get overwhelmed at all. And, I know we have a small sample size that we're working with so far in preseason, but, even with that, I think we've seen a lot of veterans that have gone out there in preseason and haven't looked quite so sharp or as sharp as we expected. And, me and Big Phil, I think we're just kind of taken back a little bit by the fact that Jayden just seems, like you said, just so collected. He seems so decisive with where he's going with the football. It doesn't seem like anything surprising or overwhelming him and it looks like he's playing with great confidence. And, I think that just goes to a credit to his mental preparation, Coach Cliff Kingsbury, and even Dan Quinn, who I had the privilege of being coached by in Atlanta. I know how great he is at mentoring young men and, molding young men into being great NFL players and leaders of men. And, I think this young man really does have a great opportunity in front of him. And I think there's people around him to help him do that.
Yes, indeed. He has the running ability, and probably more notable as a great passer. I love the fact that they try to put the mobile quarterback tag on him. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This dude will dot you up if you let him.
Right.
And I love the mentality of he's like, with the day ball clip. Hey, what do you do? What do you got on this play? Throw a touchdown. Like, I love that.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
no doubt.
Is that the right read? Maybe
and it
not.
wasn't corny. Like, he said it like real, like just super relaxed, where it was like, no, this is really how I think, which is awesome. Yeah.
I love that. I'm an analytical thinker, and I've seen quarterbacks, I'm sitting back watching. Sometimes they get so caught up in this is the play, this is the read versus this coverage. And it's always there.
Right.
But the best quarterbacks are able to make, I call them big boy throws. It's just kind of like, you know what? I got him. I got my guy one-on-one. I'm taking it. Like, you put it in a place that only he can catch it. How much have you seen of that of Jayden Daniels, and what do you expect him to do working with this receiving crew he has in Washington?
Yeah, well, just to kind of go back on one thing that you said earlier there too, which I thought was interesting and important. There's a lot of guys that play quarterback or are trying to play quarterback that are runners who try to throw, and he is a thrower and a passer, right, that can run. And that's really the biggest thing. This guy, he's not trying to, go out there and make these big time plays with his feet all the time. He lets those plays happen naturally, which I think is even like explains to you how great of a skill set he has. Because I think if we both play quarterback, you and I, and we can run like him, I mean, I'd be like Mike Vick back in like old school Madden, just like running back and forth, just trying to make plays. But he's an unbelievable just decision maker and process of information. And that's what I think is really just like the thing that shows up really quickly when you watch him on film is just like, man, dude really sees the field extremely well. The weird thing is I don't think he's going to be lining up under center much at all in this offense this year. But at the same time, I think that Cliff Kingsbury will be able to give him great coverage indicators consistently because they'll be able to spread the field out. They'll be able to use those design runs, right? And that'll really, I think, alleviate some of the pressures of like a young quarterback really going through a lot of information throughout the year because week 12, man, you know how it is. Like, that's just when the party really starts, and for him, typically in the past, the season was over. So I think the way and the style that they'll play will be super beneficial. And, I think, like I said, Dan Quinn and them, like he's got it, man. He's got that motivator mentality that I think really will fit, Jayden extremely well. And even the comment Zach Ertz has made too about him, just how he's like, I got it on his page, he's the guy, and that's telling, when a vet says that.
For sure. I was talking with Blake Ruffino. He's a Ruffino and Joe. Are you serious? Sports on the show as well. He covers LSU. He was like, man, Jayden Daniels will call a meeting at 7 a.m. to watch film. And if you're not there, the door is locked at 7 o'clock. Like, he's got that type of mentality. And the fact that I love that the players respect him for that.
Yeah.
Like, Austin Eckler's like, oh yeah, he's coming to me to get clarification on like how we're going to run this route.
Yes.
Let's go on the same page now. I think that's huge. You mentioned Dan Quinn second time, and I didn't know that you were coached by him.
Mm-hmm.
Washington, huge turnover in the roster. There may be like a handful of players that are there from any previous regime of ownership or coach. Dan Quinn getting his second chance, and I personally feel like you've had to have learned from everything that happened before, the Super Bowl, and getting some DC jobs and getting success again. What will he bring to this team? Obviously, the energy and the passion, but what is something that you've experienced with Dan Quinn that he will bring to this Washington organization?
Yeah, you've been around the game long enough, right? You hear that word brotherhood all the time, right? I mean, how often do we hear that word brotherhood in locker rooms and team meetings and all that kind of stuff too, where there was a point at some points, right, where you were just like, yeah, dude's saying it, but I don't know if he's really living it, I don't know if he really buys into it that way. And that's not the case with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn really is all about it. He brings energy and juice every single day. He loves talking smack. He loves just confronting whatever issue or problem it is right there in the moment. He doesn't let anything boil over. He's very direct to the point, and like you would expect a Jersey guy to be like, right? So,
Yeah.
he
I didn't know he was from Jersey.
He's got a great attitude. I mean, half the coaching league is in Jersey. So,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable, man. Like, we can't play the game, but damn, we can coach it. So,
Hey, man, that's what's
no,
up.
I'm kidding. But, I like that dynamic for Jayden Daniels. I think, even I heard the other day that Matt Ryan was at the facility, and even for Dan Quinn to bring in a guy like Matt Ryan to hang out with the team, to hang out with Jayden, those are things that I think just, that's priceless, man. It really is. And that'll go a long way too, just having someone like that, because Matt was an unbelievable leader, and no one prepared as well as Matt Ryan. And, I saw him do some fantastic things, not only between the lines, but, in the classroom and in the film room with teammates as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that Matt Ryan went up there. All offseason, it's been just surprising to see how many veterans have decided to go to Washington.
Right.
Like, you see big veterans, it's like if you can't pay them the most, eventually people are like, I'm going to get money somewhere else. I'll take a little pay cut to go elsewhere. Now they're choosing Washington. I think it has a lot to do with Dan Quinn. He mentions a lot about learning the learners. He wants to learn how you learn and to connect with players. And having been on the field, I mean, you know it too.
Yeah.
Like when a coach takes that extra effort to say, hey, you need to sit down and get one-on-one time on the board to understand this game versus just trying to force it down your throat, just watch more tape, do it on your own type stuff. That means a lot. And you can tell you're going to get a lot out of your players. Like everybody that played for Dan Quinn's like, I'll run through a wall for this guy.
Right.
So I'd love to hear that. And he's from Jersey. So it makes me think of my time in Miami. Tony Sparano and that whole Bill Parcells tree. Use guys. Look, Tony Sparano gave a speech. We were about to play the Jets, and I was on practice squad, but it was a speech he was giving, and he's like, we're gonna get in that pocket, use guys, and these guys gonna come in there and they're gonna try to take your ball. We're not gonna. And he's like, we're gonna chain it closed, and only one team's coming out. I was so hyped. I was excited. I was like in a movie, a scene with Tony Sparano and
best line ever by Tony Sparano was, hey, can't snow the snowman, baby. Like I was like, what? All right, man. Yeah, like let's go. Can't snow the snowman.
I think that makes sense, but I don't know what it means.
I like it. It kind of sounds cold, like I get it, but he's an awesome dude, and may he rest in peace too. He was an awesome guy, man.
Absolutely. Let's go look at some other rookie quarterbacks. Obviously, the most notable ones, Drake May. You've got some guy in Chicago, Caleb Williams. That's not disrespect. Caleb Williams. Yeah, that guy. Unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy's hurt. But you got Bo Nix, who looks like he's going to be making some noise there. What rookie is your favorite that you think is going to have the most electrifying season this year?
I mean, to start, I definitely was thinking that JJ was going to be a starter sooner rather than later. He was someone that I had ranked pretty low on my QB, totem pole for the combine and the draft and all that. And when I saw him, in that offense, Kevin O'Connell's offense for the first preseason game, I was like, damn, I was really wrong, because this fits him perfectly. And so it's disappointing we won't get to see that as football fans, because I think he would have been the starter, probably maybe day one, honestly, by how sharp that he looked. Drake May is going to be an interesting one. I don't think that Drake played like all that sharp in the preseason. He did finish up the preseason really well against, you guys down there in the last one. And that was refreshing, because you kind of saw some of those dynamic plays that he was known for in college. I still think that, to be the safer play to start Jacoby Brissett, just so Drake can still kind of get a few more practice reps, kind of see what the NFL game is like. But, Jacoby Brissett at the same time has played so poorly, here in the preseason, and also getting nicked up a little bit in that same game. We'll see if that, kind of pushes Drake up the line faster. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I do like Alex Van Pelt's offense a lot. I really do. So I think they're doing good things in New England that way. Bo Nix, I mean, dude, like Jayden Daniels, just super confident, right? You could tell that just the mental aspect of the game does not overwhelm him whatsoever. And I would say that out of most of the guys in the preseason, like Sean Payton really put in, maybe a little bit more than that day one install for preseason games, right? It seemed like he was running a little bit more game plan specific stuff. And I think to see how Bo would handle it, and his athleticism pops up on film, his size, right? His movement in the pocket, his eyes and feet, they all match each other. Those cliches that we quarterbacks say. And then really just like his arm talent really just pops off the screen too, very similar to Jayden Daniels. It just looks easy for him dropping back and throwing. And then for Caleb, he's shown some great moments for sure. He's got to just like make simple NFL plays though a little bit more consistently. Like I think, and a great example too, when you're watching their preseason games is there's Tyson Badgett, second-year player, played last year, got a lot of experience. Some of that was rough. Some of it was good, right? And you could see when he gets in the game, it's just like, oh, he's open, boom, done, take it, move on, next play. And I think Caleb every now and then gets caught with like, I know he's open, but I'm going to wait to see if this guy pops open. And then if not, I'll make something happen. Yeah. And I think he just got to get a little bit more comfortable just, hey, take what the defense gives you. And then those explosive plays, they'll naturally come throughout the NFL game like that they do. Because the first quarter, second quarter, like they could be, it's a different story every quarter, right? Yeah. And just kind of going with the ebbs and flows of the games and not getting, overwhelmed by like, I haven't done anything in a quarter. I got to force the ball and make a play now, So those will be some of the growing pains that he goes through. But other than that, I'm really excited for these young quarterbacks. I think, we're in for a treat, as football fans to see how these guys develop, and hopefully the coaches give them the opportunities to do that.
I'm with you on it's tough to select. I do think that a couple things that stand out. Bo Nix Bo Nix and Jayden Daniels is like college careers having like transferred, and like I think that's helped them prepare. Playing in front of 102,000 down there in Death Valley is something. Playing in Oregon, coming from Georgia before for Bo Nix. Auburn. Okay, so still down in that South there. So sorry, I apologize. But yeah, Bo Nix, and he's dealt with pressure his whole time too. So they got something to prove. And I think Sean Payton probably has the right mentality. That's going to be like, he's like he's like poking at you, and Bo Nix is kind of saying like, forget you, like I can make these plays. So I feel like that's a match made in heaven. It's gonna be some fiery exchanges on the sideline, but that should be good. But give me Jayden Daniels all day. Give me Jayden Daniels all day. I think this dude's gonna light it up. He's so exciting. And even though they've just traded Jahan Dotson, and then there's still rumors like he could potentially add another receiver. Let me ask, do you think he needs another receiver? Is there a better benefit to have a familiar receiver like a Brandon Ayuk over there for Jayden Daniels? I think it could help his development, but it's getting so close to the regular season. Like, what do you think?
Well, I it's tough to say, any receiver can go in there and just kind of adapt to the system like right away and all those things, right? So it takes time, right? At the same time, if it is Brandon Ayuk, I'll take it, because I do think that Brandon is one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. And, when you watch his tape for the San Francisco 49ers, like his blocking ability, right? The attitude that he brings on the outside and the perimeter, right? With all that kind of stuff, right? He's not afraid to get his hands, dirty with just blocking, bigger defenders and mixing it up in the run game. But then also too, his route running, I think, is really just underrated and undervalued with just how sharp he is in and out of routes. So adding a player like that's not a bad thing. And it sounds like too, just like from the clips that you see on social media, from the articles that you read too, that McCaffrey really has, done some good things for them in camp, right? Yeah. And I think the way that this offense will be designed, it's not necessarily like they need, a true wide receiver one in a sense to go along with Terry McLaurin. They can kind of just mix and match it with game plan specific, scheme it up plays, mix it in with that designed run game for Jayden, right? Austin Eckler is a great pass catcher out of the backfield too. Mm-hmm. So I really do think that this is a good, offense that will mix it up and be very balanced across the board and maybe not highlight one player in particular throughout the season. Yeah. But hey, if you can add Brandon Ayuk to it, man, like go do it, man. But that would be really awesome if they can get a player of his caliber on that team.
Man, that's been a topic of discussion. I've almost banned it from the show
Yeah,
until it
I know.
happens,
I
right?
know. I
I
know.
mean, CD Lamb just got paid, so I think that domino dropping 4 years, $136 million. So I think he
Whew.
should just spell his name with multiple M's now. Like that'd be LAMMMMM. That's just marketing right there, y'all. So
It is,
CD, feel free, run that, man. Just shoot me a little royalty, man. Little Venmo as well. I
That's right.
appreciate that. Let's look NFC East wise. Okay, so you got four quarterbacks. Obviously, Dak Prescott just got his wideout signed. Jalen Hurts been to the Super Bowl. Daniel Jones, and then Jayden Daniels going to be number one. Where do you think? How would you have to rank this division of
Oh man,
quarterbacks?
I knew
What do you think?
yeah, as soon as you started, I was like, he's gonna ask me to rank these cats. All right. I mean, I guess like the obvious way to do it. Well, maybe not obvious. I'm sure. Well, hey, this Commanders pod.
We could, but look. I am fair to
Eagles,
say, that you could put Dak and Jalen 1 and 2 respectfully. They've been in the
Yeah.
league the longest. Jayden hadn't played much. I had Jayden to come in at 3. I'd put him above Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Personally.
And I think a lot of people feel that same sentiment too. Like we even did this, my father and I, for the divisions, and we both agreed that the best quarterback in the division was Dak Prescott. The second best was Jalen Hurts. I had Daniel Jones 3 with Jayden Daniels 4, just because I felt a little strange putting the rookie there first, and also just didn't like get that first, look see as like what the preseason and how he would look and all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, after seeing the preseason, all that stuff, like it's like I kind of like maybe I was wrong on that one. So yeah, might have to switch those. But I think really what it is, it just comes down to which team is going to protect right their quarterbacks in the division the best, right?
Yeah.
And that's really the biggest thing. I think Dak to me does more with less than really anyone in this division in a lot of ways, because I don't think that they really go out of their way to like make the offense like super special to help him. So he's just like surgical. And then, hey, he hasn't played great in big time games. That's a fact, especially in the playoffs. That's the truth. Jalen, I mean, dude's on the best team and best roster within this division, and he does a great job of just being a great game manager, and this year with Kellen Moore, I'm curious to see kind of how that QB offensive coordinator tandem works. I'm not like a huge fan of it right now on paper, from what I've seen from Kellen Moore. Like, I know he's put up good stats, but I don't know if like his style matches like what Jalen and the Eagles are trying to do always. So we'll see how that goes. And then, finally for Daniel Jones, like, thank God he's got an offensive line, man. That's the one thing that's been super refreshing. They finally protected him in the preseason, and he was probably dropping back like, oh man, I actually have time to like go through my read. Like he was probably confused. So, and the addition of Malik Neighbors is big time. So hopefully, the offensive line, the young receiver can come through for him. And the same thing really, I think for Jayden, just, the scheme of Cliff Kingsbury with that influence of Dan Quinn, of what he's seen with Mike McCarthy, with Kyle Shanahan throughout his career, how does he keep the team physical in a sense for the NFC East while still running the, open spread style offense that Cliff wants to run?
Yeah. I mean, they got big running backs back there, Brian Robinson Jr.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler's going to bring some toughness and some leadership as well. And you mentioned protecting the quarterback. Obviously, the O-line, still a lot of question marks in Washington. We'll finish up with the O-line since they're pretty important. I think Austin Eckler can be helpful in the backfield with Jayden, helping identify blitzers and things of that nature. But from the way that they've handled themselves, I'm sure they're very much prepared on what they're going to see week to week. Is there anything? I mean, obviously, left tackle's a question mark.
Right.
Do you feel that Jayden's athleticism will be able to elevate the O-line or mask some of their issues to still have success in the offense? Or obviously that's something we got to wait till we see the tape, but do you think he has that ability?
He definitely does have that ability. And I think really that's where it kind of comes into some of those design runs and those things that he can do in the backfield with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler is just, can you shift in motion and put people in new places, or really put specific defenders in binds consistently, right? To then say, all right, Jayden, like, it looks like we're doing a lot of this stuff on offense. It looks like we're doing a lot on this play, but really all we're trying to do is trying to make the mic move over here so you could throw Austin Eckler on an angle route on the weak side. That's really what we're trying to do. And I think that's the biggest thing, right, for Cliff, is just managing that stuff, is just rhythm passing game consistently. The one play that I think really is kind of telling too, with like the direction of what this offense can look like. It was a 2nd and 4 against the Miami Dolphins, right, in the preseason game. And they finally lined up in like a 2-by-2 set, right? 2 tight ends. They look like they were trying to like really be physical and all that. And they did like a little, rope-a-dope kind of action with them. They're like, hey, we're going to run the ball here. The whole line went that way. The tight end let out the backside. Jayden pulled the football and followed that tight end right down, the alleyway between the numbers and the hash. And it was a 15-yard gain, and like no one was there to defend it. And those are the plays that I think are the small wrinkles that maybe the pass game, hey, we got a good feel for what they're doing in the pass game, but the running game, that's where we really got to focus, because if we're not in the proper gaps consistently, this dude's going to dice us up for an easy 50 or 60 in crucial situations. So if they're in 2nd and 4 and they're ripping off 15-yard runs with their quarterback or with their skill group, hey, that's good, man, because that's really going to put defenses in a bind of how to play them defensively.
Hell yeah, that's going to be exciting. BetOnline has the over-under Jayden Daniels rushing touchdowns for the year at 4.5. I'm screaming take the over all day.
I mean, what? Yeah, what?
Like, you saw the read option at the goal line, the ability to run in the middle of the field. He gonna learn to slide. He'll definitely learn to get down.
No doubt.
I don't need him taking those LSU hits that he did back in the SEC.
No.
But
even Missouri, he took too many hits too.
Yeah, we don't want any of that. So, but man, Matt, I appreciate you joining, talking Jayden Daniels, other QBs as well. Let the folks know where they can find your content and follow you.
Yeah, appreciate it. So you can find the Sims Complete podcast with my pops, Big Phil. He's a giant. Sorry, guys, just to remind you, he's that guy. He's that Phil Sims, just so you know, Commanders fans. We do the podcast. We primarily focus on the quarterback position. So anytime you want to hear about, our thoughts on the QB position, which we've dabbled in a little bit here and there, please tune in to Sims Complete wherever podcasts are available. We're a part of the Believe Network as well, so check out our videos too on YouTube as well. And then my social media is Sims Complete, where you can find all of our information.
I love it. I love talking ball, man. That just brings me joy. For Matt Sims joining us from Sims Complete, I'm Anthony Armstrong, the original 1-3. Y'all be good. Catch you on the next episode.